providing international quality of education, but at a very affordable, fees. When a child is comfortable and interested, that is when learning will take place.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Great Principles. I am Seema Chhoriya and I bring to you another celebrated figure from the world of Indian academia. When you have witnessed eras change and history rewrite many chapters of your life, you become chronicler of sorts. You have the narrative to talk about the past events in the context of today, a storyline that maps a phase of every decade, from student to teacher and continues till date. You have been there, seen it all, and conquered it too. My guest today will surprise you with her energy levels, her smile, her wise words, and her down to earth personality that appeals to people of all ages. I'm sitting here in complete awe of my guest, Ms. Shakuntala Jaisinghani, Director of Trinity International Schools and College, Pune, a notable pillar of society. She's a bigwig in the national and international world of academia, an educator whose career spans across 4 decades, surely owns the wisdom and experience to lead by knowledge. She is the one of the most sought after education consultant on the Indian soil, having an outreach beyond our national borders. With a commendable string of awards she has earned through sheer hard work and dedication, I put my hands forth for our guest today, Ms. Shakuntala Jaisinghani, Director, Trinity International School, Pune. Welcome to Great Principles.
Thank you, Seema. It's a pleasure being here and having someone like you to be interviewing me. It feels great.
It's truly an honor and privilege for me to interview you, ma'am. So, without any further delay, let's know, ma'am, our childhood plays a very, very vital role in what we choose our careers as an adult. So, we would like to know something about your early days, your school life, and how your journey in education started. Please take us back to your once upon a time.
Okay, Seema, I was fortunate to be, able to go to a number of schools, good schools, and have my education in a variety of them and in different places also. So I studied in Hyderabad in a convent school. Then I went to Delhi. Before Delhi, we went to Madras, now Chennai,
Yeah.
and there I was in a Cambridge school. After that, my father was transferred to Delhi and there again to another school. And I think on the way, I learned a lot. And because of the good schooling I had, I was very interested in taking my academic career further. And I wanted to become a doctor. So I did my pre-medical exam also. In those days also, after your high school, that was 11th at that time, not 12th, you could do the pre-medical college you could join, and after that you would go into the medical college. So I got the admission there, but again, fate had a different route planned for me. So my father got transferred from Delhi back to Hyderabad, and when I came to Hyderabad, there were different rules there. Every state has its own rules. So there was this question of domicile. So I did not get into the medical field at all. Instead, I had to do my BSc. So that is how I kind of moved away from what I had planned. Then again, I was not at all interested in doing anything, having a career, because I had my kids soon after my marriage. I got married quite early. So early means after I finished my graduation, I got married. Then I had my daughter. So I was totally, busy bringing her up. Then my son, and I had no intentions of taking up a career until my children were old enough to fend for themselves. So then when my husband got transferred to Ajmer, and I had to go, I had to take admission for my daughter in a school, in a convent school there. And when I went there for her admission, in the interview, the principal there asked me if I would like to be a teacher, and join them. I was very surprised because I had no intentions and no idea about how a teacher is, what is required as a teacher. I told her that. She said, doesn't matter. You do a substitution for 1 week for one of our teachers, you'll get an idea about it, and I'm sure you will be able to manage. In those days, in the primary section for convent schools, just a good, fluency in English was enough to become a teacher, because all that you needed was you needed a book, you read from there and you teach. And that's what they expected from you at that stage. I thought, all right, I would give it a chance. And so began my journey by chance, not by choice. And that 1 week as a substitute teacher, I fell in love with teaching. I found that I felt I found my niche in life. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then began my journey. I did my post graduation, I did my B.Ed, I did my PG diploma in career counseling and guidance, all that while I was teaching. And from teaching grade 3, which I started with, I ended up with teaching grade 10 in the school. I was teaching maths and science to all the students of grade 10 in that school. So that is how I started my career as a teacher. I was there for 22 years. But during that tenure, I also tried my hand at a lot of other work, in the school, which was not part of our duties. We had nuns who did all these things. They had the timetabling of the school, the examination duties, were all taken up by the nuns. I always volunteered to be their, assistant, and learned on the way. I remember I learned timetabling from Mother Damien, who was a French nun, excellent person. And I think today I know how to make timetables for any kind of timetables. I'm so good at it because she was my teacher for that, and she taught me an excellent way of doing it. And after that, once 2 years I was with her, as an assistant. After that, I became in charge of the timetable, making the timetables for all the more than 100 teachers in the school. We had a huge school. It was, we had about 3,000 students in the school. Then examination duty, again, as an assistant, I would help out. And slowly I understood how the examinations are held, what are the SOPs required, how do you do a very good organized way of conducting exams. All these I learned there. After that, when I finished 22 years, my children had moved out for their own future. I decided to take my career up a notch, and try for a principal's job. And so I wanted to start on a small scale so that I could learn the ropes before I really went on to the main thing. So I opted for a very small place called Pali in Rajasthan, and went there as a principal. That I was there for 7 years, and that was a very, I think, huge learning experience for me, because that school was really in a bad shape. And in those 7 years, I brought the school from 200 to 1200. And in a school, in a place where the total population was just 2 lakhs, and there were no English teachers at all. And this was an English medium school. I got a lot of teachers from Ajmer, which was close to Pali, and I arranged for them to stay there. And a lot of my own students, they opted for taking up the position as a teacher in my school, and I looked after them. I had one big, huge bungalow where these children, these girls were staying, and I was like there, I would take care of them. I was like their mentor there. And I brought up the school, and I learned everything about a school from there. After that, I started moving one step further. And then my journey went on until I finally reached Pune 15 years back, which was the time of retirement for me. But instead of retiring, I just couldn't do away with it. And I tried my hands at other things, like I did a lot of, teacher trainings for a lot of, for uh, a big organization. And after that, I moved on to, I got an opportunity to take up this post of an inspector of schools in Dubai. That was another turning point in my career. where when I went there, I was part of a system where there were educators from all over the world. So our team had educationists from UK, from US, from Japan, and we would go as a team to a school and do the inspection. But before that, of course, I went through a very rigorous training program with them. And at the end of that training program, I got to go with the team. And there again, being with so many other educations from different parts of the world, you learn so much. And it's been a learning process for me right up till now. Even now, I keep on learning. In fact, now that everything has become digitalized, I'm learning that now. I tried learning about gamification and taught my teachers how to use that in their online classes so that children do not lose interest. So that way, it's been one long, I think, learning graph for me.
Definitely, ma'am. So, ma'am originally decided to be a doctor and now to be a school leader. So, from saving lives to shaping lives, this has been our
Yeah.
journey. And when very, very important message that we all need to learn from ma'am is we are, so these days people are so much structured. Okay, 9 to 5, I'm supposed to this, I'll do this only. No one takes a step forward to learn more like ma'am did. Apart from teaching, she also took efforts to understand what is timetable, what is examination. So we have opportunities all around us. It's very few people who can understand that yes, I need to grow. For if I need to want to grow, I need to learn and I need to keep on learning, and ma'am is still learning today. So yes, definitely ma'am, the person of your energy can never retire. All our best to you. Very, very best wishes for your good health, and may you always shine and keep guiding us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So going ahead to the next question, ma'am, every school has a philosophy and ideology, and that is on the pillars of their ideology that they stand. So we would like to understand from you what is the philosophy of the Trinity International School and how does it stand out?
I've always felt, even when I was a teacher, I never thought of teaching as something, as a job. It was a full time passion for me. And that is what I think really drove me. And I always felt that education, a school should be a place to provide a wholesome experience to the students, not just academics, but make them, groom them, make them ready for the future, prepare them not only for one exam, but the examination of life. That is what ultimately they have to face. And in that process, we only don't look at how we give the best in academics, but also how do we build their characters? How do we make them, citizens of the country, who are able to really do the best for mankind? They are able to really shine out in whatever they do. So that is my philosophy, and very I'm very happy that it's the same which I share with my management. Shri Kalyan Jadhav, he is the uh, chairman of our uh, Trinity KJEI, that is the trust that we have. He believed in these things also, and that is how we started. And I was asked to start the school from scratch. There was just only a building, and Sir Kalyan Jadhav's son Vinod was with me in doing, in supporting me in it. Now, of course, his wife is also a part of our team. Vinod Jadhav and Harshada Jadhav are now very much involved in the school, and so we are expanding it also, and we are building new other schools also on the same model that we have built this Trinity, which is based on providing international quality of education, but at a very affordable, fees, so that more people, more children can avail of it, that we can benefit the other, the masses also, and not only limit to the elitist public, which is what we have in our international schools. So we may be a CBSE school, but everything else is as per the international standards, which is what I also follow when I go for my inspections in Dubai. Dubai has this system every year. they have an inspection of schools, and they have set standards for every school to achieve, and that is an international standard. And whether whatever curriculum the school follows, they totally believe in raising the standards of the school on those lines. The board exams, of course, for the board classes, we leave it to the boards which they are following, but the rest of the school has to have that kind of standard. And that is
Absolutely.
what exactly we are doing in Trinity.
Right. Absolutely. So wonderful school with a beautiful philosophy of providing international quality education at a really affordable price, which develop children holistically and prepare them for life. So this is what is the philosophy of the school, ma'am. So going ahead, ma'am, you have seen the education from from past 4 decades, and you've seen how education has changed and evolved. So we would like to know from you a comparative viewpoint from both as a teacher as well as for an institution. What have been the changes you have observed in education?
Yes. Uh, a few years back, there was not much of a change, but suddenly these last few years have seen a major change in the whole education field, where now everyone has come to the conclusion that we do need to make some reforms in our education system. And the NEP is a very welcome, I think, change for that. Earlier it was totally book oriented, examination oriented, and all you need was whatever is in the book, you teach that, the children learn it and they produce it in the examination, they get their marks, and that's it. So a lot of, there's just knowledge being imparted to the children through whatever is there in the books, not even what is around, because at that time we did not have so many resources which would we would be able to get the information from anywhere, not like now you have it at the tip of your fingers.
Right.
So but in that time also, I remember I never used to feel that this is how it should be, and I would always try to bring some changes. I remember I used to teach space to the students of grade 10 in physics, and it used to be a very boring lesson where they were all about information about who went first, what happened. So I would take them to Jaipur from Ajmer to the planetarium, and there I used to have the class with them. They would see, they would watch, and I would have a talk with the director beforehand so that he would be ready with what I wanted to show the children. They would see the clips, and after that my lesson was held there in the planetarium. So that is, I'm talking about 30 years back. That's what I, now they call it experiential learning. That time there was no word coined for it, but that's how I was doing it also. So from there to now, with so many resources, as a teacher, I really feel that our teachers are lucky that they have so many resources. We didn't have, we had to really work hard to get those. For those who wanted to, those who didn't want, they were quite happy teaching the way everyone taught in the traditional manner. But for us who really wanted to do something different, it was very difficult. But today, there are so many resources. I think there's an abundance of it. And sometimes I think that also becomes a problem, too much of choice for, everyone. So now the change has happened. Everything, teachers are now not doing it, not teaching traditionally. And I'm talking about the more progressive schools. That is what is happening in the news, the schools now that have come up. They are all following the various pedagogies that have been very well done in the other countries. So you have your design learning, you have your design thinking pedagogy, you have your PBL, your project based learning, your inquiry based learning. All these are all names, of course, and in a way, it's good. These are not only names, but they're also structured properly. So they are organized in a way that it can be delivered in a more organized manner. So in that way, I think we have moved very far, from where we were earlier. So as far as schools are concerned, school will always cater to what the people want. which I don't think is a very good idea. I always feel that the school is a place where, the school should be the one to decide what should be done, in a instead of depending on what the parents want, not the students but the parents. And although some schools feel it's very difficult to change the mindset of parents, I don't think. I've made a lot of changes. I've done so many new things, and I've been able to convince my parents about it, that this is the way to go. This is good for your child. This is how your child will learn. And after seeing the results, they've all been able to accept it.
Absolutely. So even 30 years back, ma'am had the vision of teaching experiential learning. So learning through observing. So that vision she carried, and even today she is doing a lot of things which she feels that schools should do at their end to provide quality education, and what not what market is demanding, what parents are demanding. So many schools actually just follow, acha, if I do this, I parents will be satisfied, and I'll get more admissions. But here at ma'am's end, ma'am has a very different ideology. She believes in showing the results in students, in making children better, and that is what adds up to her integrity and her vision. So going ahead, ma'am, we all as parents, as we all want our children to be global citizen, and a lot of us are learning many foreign languages. Some of the kids are actually starting it as early as 3. So already English being a fad language, and everyone wants their child to speak in English. Together with it, I see children learning Japanese, French, German. Don't you think it's an added burden on them? And I mean, what are your views here?
See, it's good to learn languages, but it should not be a pressure for the child, to be learning different languages. It's not easy at their age, at the age of 3 and 4. Although there are some professionals who say that you learn languages faster when you are younger, at that age, 3, 4 years. But I personally feel languages are learned better when you are interested in wanting to learn a language. If you are very small and you are, you're just told to learn something, I don't, that would only pressurize the child. But instead, if you're grown up enough to be able to understand that, yes, I am interested in learning a new language, and you should go ahead. I myself am learning a new language. I'm learning Spanish through Duolingo, because I just thought that it would help me in my, cognitive abilities. So I'm doing it, and I'm enjoying it.
So
And
if you
English itself is a foreign language for the little ones. So I think keep it to that foreign language only for them, and let the older children learn the different languages.
So if the child is showing interest and is not pressurized, his parents are very much in to teach him more than one or two languages also. And yes, learning languages always adds up to your personality. You become more confident when when you're aware of you're multilingualist. So going ahead, ma'am, you've also traveled the world, reforming education, which is an extraordinary achievement in itself. What is your advice to the teaching fraternity? What, like you said, like Dubai has a practice of annual inspection. So what would be your advice here to seeing what good other nations are practicing, what we can advise to our teaching fraternity?
First of all, I feel that you should be a teacher only if you really want to be a teacher. If you're passionate about teaching, about children, you should take up this profession, especially in the lower classes. Because more than your academic knowledge, it is your behavior with the child which is going to be remembered by the child. The child may not remember what you taught him or her, but definitely they will remember you,
Right.
because that's the connect they formed with you. And at the younger age, that connect is very important. And you must have also heard, I've heard a lot of times parents saying that when the teacher says something to the child, they will totally believe it and will do it, but they will not agree with their parents. I had the same problem with my own children. They would say, no, my teacher told me to learn this way. I will learn this way only. You don't know. And I used to tell them, okay, I'm also a teacher, but that didn't make any difference. To them, the teacher's word was law. So it's that's how, impressive. That's the kind of impression one teacher makes on a child. So that is important for a teacher, for her to, if she's really, really, passionate about it, she should be a teacher, because it's a very huge responsibility as a teacher. You can make or mar a child's life by just one incident in the child's life. You never know, and you'll only know later on in life that what harm you've done or what good you've done. So having that, keeping that in mind, they should be very careful about having these human lives at their, you know, uh, at I think as a responsibility. Just as a mother or a father, as parents, we have a responsibility for our children. Similarly, the teacher also has a responsibility. And yes, at the higher level, yes, the way you kind of connect with your children today, nowadays, there is a very different way of, looking at teachers. They are teachers, they want the teachers to be friends. I recently did one interview where one of our students was interviewing me, and he was talking about the teacher whom he remembers a lot, because that teacher was very friendly, would not always talk about teaching about the academics, would have some some humorous anecdotes to relate, and would kind of have a little chit chat with them, little friendly way of approaching. And he said, I remember, I love that teacher. And I think most of the children do respond to those kinds of teachers nowadays.
Absolutely.
So that is what I'm saying, that be very professional with your work, be a very loving teacher, care for each and every child. Remember, every child is an individual in his and own rights. They are not part of a group. They are each one of them independent of it. So treat them as such. Give them the respect that they deserve. This is something very important that a teacher has to remember and understand. We cannot always say that I'm right. The child cannot question us. I did have one teacher who got very angry with one child who asked her, no, and he told her that, no, this is not right, but this is right. She was so wild with him. How dare you question me? I am the teacher. I think we don't want teachers like that. We want teachers who will say, okay, let me look at it, let me find out, and if it is, then I'm glad that you put it across to me. There's no harm in admitting you have been doing something wrong or you're not aware of everything. You can't be a know all, nobody can be. So it's perfectly all right to accept it. And that is something and that is called respecting the student, because you listen to the student. So all these things are very important for a teacher. And if you have this kind of attitude, I think then you should be a teacher. Otherwise, there are many other avenues open to you. Please go ahead and join there.
Definitely. When you're a teacher, you're touching so many lives. You definitely need the skills. Ma'am said that you first teach only if you really, really want it and you're really passionate about it. And you need to be very, very loving person. Respecting the child is also very important. As ma'am rightly mentioned, that you cannot just say that, you cannot just shout at the child that I'm the teacher. We should be open, and given the scenario these days, teachers are no more knowledge keeper. Everyone have the information coming through Google these days. Teachers role has changed to mentors, so now altogether your responsibility changes towards to be, guiding the children. Earlier we were just giving them information that learn it up. Now we have to guide them how the information needs to be processed. So ma'am very, very rightly said here that role of teacher is a huge responsibility, and take it only if you want it. So ma'am, this brings to me to the very interesting segment of the show, which is called rapid fire round. You have to answer in one word only, right?
Okay.
So here we begin our very first question. Name a school leader who inspires you.
Sister Cicely, the very first principal that I had, who taught me everything as a teacher.
All right. Now, my next question. Do you believe rural India is digitally at par with urban India?
No, no way. No
Okay.
way.
Yeah, have the kind of teachers to provide quality education.
Yes and no, because there are some very good teachers even in the rural milieu. I've heard about so many good things that those teachers are doing, and at the same time there are so many progressive schools which have very good teachers. So we do have, it's like any other country, you do have good ones, you don't, and all need not be good teachers. So
Right.
I guess it's a mixed bag.
Next question. Are school like Santiniketan redundant? Do you think so?
No, I really admire that kind of school. And I've seen something very similar to it in Bangalore, the Valley School. And it follows the J. Krishnamurti's ideology of education. And I found the children sitting under a tree, and the teacher was teaching them, talking and discussing. It's all by discussion. And there was one child who was sitting on top of a tree while listening to her. And he was totally focused on his lesson. But he
Wow.
was sitting on the tree. Perfectly all right. Wherever they are. So when a child is comfortable and interested, that is when learning will take place. But if you push them, put them into one room and say you have to sit here and you have to learn, that is why we have created subject rooms in our school. We have instead of the teacher going, to the classes, the children go to their different classes. So
Oh,
after every period, they come out. They have outside in the corridor, they have lockers in which they have their books. They come out, take out the book for the next class. And then, so if they come out of the maths class, they'll go to the English class, which is another classroom, and they'll all move there. In the meantime, they have this 5 minute space where they can talk to their friends, and they get ready for the next lesson. So if you are, if the teacher comes in, you've just finished with one, and then the next one is right on top of you, and you are going on learning different subjects, from maths to English to then your social studies, then to your Hindi, or you know I don't think it's a very good way of learning for the child. Don't you think that their mind will get all confused with all that? So giving them that little space when they can go out, meet, maybe even chat with their friends. This met with a lot of opposition in the school also, because the teachers found it would be very difficult to handle children once they are out. Imagine the whole, all the classes are out and they're in the corridor, and they're all open to, talk with each other. They'll not go to class in time. It did happen in the beginning, but slowly things settled down, and they were the children also learned that, okay, we have this much time, let's make the best of it and then move on.
right.
So now we have a proper system where the children nicely go out, they take their books and then move on to the next class. It makes a little noise in the corridor, but I think it's okay.
Right.
We are not, we don't have to be absolutely pin drop silence all the time, which is what it used to be in the earlier
Earlier.
days.
So this is like something very very different to practice, where even teacher children get little time to to just switch their minds and start afresh. So for every subject is a fresh start for them. Otherwise, as you rightly said, just sitting in the same classroom and constantly learning one subject after the other, you don't get any time to refresh. That is, so learning gap has occurred there. So children don't learn at the pace they wish to. So a wonderful approach founded by ma'am here. So now the last question in this segment, ma'am, is teaching still considered a noble profession?
It should be, it should be, but then again, there are different, thoughts in that also. Some people think that because we are paying for the child's education, the teacher is being paid from that. So she is in fact on a salary from that. So they expect the kind of customer service that they will expect from any other thing, which I think is very sad.
Right.
Because can you put a price on the love the teacher gives your child, the time she spends with your child and gives him the kind of, guidance that the child needs? Yes, I agree. All teachers are not like that. But still, just to put everyone in that category is not right. And I think we should change our mindset. And I'm sure because of this digital space, a lot of parents have changed their mind.
Yeah.
They've seen what the teacher is going through in a class because they're also there with them, and they can understand what she has to go through. And I hope because of that, there will be a there will be a change in the mindset of parents, and they should understand what the teacher is doing in a classroom. So I hope it will once more become the guru shishya kind of relationship that we've always been very proud of in our country.
Absolutely, ma'am. And when once parents start practicing that, it automatically goes to students also, because half of the learning happens at home. Whatever children see their parents observing, if parents don't value teachers, even children won't. So this is a very important point for parents here to understand that first you need to value your teachers, you need to respect them so that your child has that respect for them and he learns in that manner. So going ahead, ma'am, now coming to one more section of the show, which is also called achievements part. You have so many achievements and accomplishments. Which one are you most proud of in your career?
The one which I was presented with the award as being the best principal because my students were in the merit list, second and third merit list. In those days, we used to have merit list also, and in the whole of the state, we were following the state board at that time. So in the whole of the state, these two children in my Pali school, they second and third position they got. That made me so proud. So I think it's not your own achievement, but it's what your children have achieved through you, which is what makes you proud. We also, as parents, when our children do something and we feel prouder of their achievements than we do of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Similarly, I feel the same way. If my students achieve something, I think that is a matter of pride for me.
Yes, absolutely, ma'am. So going ahead to the next question, ma'am. Ma'am, lesson planning. Teachers treat it as their Bible and they follow it religiously, step by step. But now, yeah, ma'am, you are conversant and with instructional designing, ma'am. So looking beyond lesson planning, would you recommend lesson planning still a mandate for all educators?
See, lesson plan is actually a blueprint. It's a way to structure something, to organize in your mind. It's a planning. So you can't walk into a classroom and just start teaching, without planning what you're going to do, because you might need some resources which you have to make sure that they are available for you at that time. Then you need to also do time management. You cannot leave the lecture in half and then, keep it hanging like that. So all these things you have to take care of, and you need to have it, the lecture, your teaching, and your lesson to be organized in a particular manner. Yeah? So I don't think. I also believe that there should be some flexibility given to the teachers in how they deliver the lesson. So instead of having a very rigid structure, it should have only the basic elements which are very necessary for the planning of the lesson. After that, however they want to do it, they can go ahead and do it. But keep those basic ones and leave the rest for the teacher's creativity. That is why I do not take any of those, ready-made lessons provided by a lot of these companies, who tell you that we will give you all the content, all videos, and I tell them no, I don't want that. What is the contribution of the teacher here?
Right.
So we need to give it to the teachers. We need to give them that independence, allow them to also utilize their own creativity in the lesson. But yes, basic elements should be there.
So a basic framework is fine. Otherwise,
Yes,
the inside work needs to be done by the teachers with their own imagination and the way they want to look up explaining a particular lesson. It is up to them. They can
right,
choose it. Right.
right.
So this brings to me to the last question of the show, which is also called viewer's choice question, ma'am. We all want to be successful, and what it actually means when you how would you define a successful student, and what is the role of the school in shaping the success of a school a student?
I think that a child's personality begins with the school, and what the child becomes later on depends a lot on how the child has been, you know, uh, guided in his school life. So
Right.
it's very important. So the kind of personality that the child develops comes from the way the child has inculcated a lot of things that the child has seen and learned during his journey in the school, So I think it's very important. The school is the basis for a child's personality and what the child will become later on in life. Of course, there are many other factors also which contribute to it, but I think that is an important fact. When you talk about success, I don't think success is marks. I don't think success is getting certificates or awards, even. I don't consider all those things as success. I think success is when you're happy with what you have done. when you feel you've achieved something, when you're happy with yourself, when you
Right.
feel that whatever I've done has been good for me and for others around me. If I
Right.
can achieve that, I'm successful. Now, for that, if you think money is a parameter, or if you think the kind of contentment you feel is a parameter, that's all left to each one individually. But for me, it means that being successful means being happy and satisfied and content with what you've done with your life, and say, yes, I'm I'm good. I've done a good job.
Right.
That I think is what success means to me. And that's what we try to tell our children also, that values are important. Whatever profession you may choose, but what you are, who you are, is going to be more important. So remember that, and your success will come. Hard work is very important for you to achieve success. Consistency is very important. You can't just be going here, there, everywhere, and then that's not how you get success. You have to be focused, and you have to be very sure of what you want to achieve in your life, and go ahead and achieve it. Even if you don't achieve it, the whole process of reaching there, I think itself is success. It's not necessary to reach a destination. The journey itself is important.
Absolutely, ma'am. Wonderful thought on. There are many people, those who always look forward, like, no, I've still not achieved what I wanted and I've not reached my goal. They stop focusing on their journey, and that is their way they break down. So, yes, the journey is important. And when you focus on your journey and you enjoy every bit of it, you actually reach to the zenith and you get the fruits of success. So, this was a very beautiful, insightful session with Shakuntala ma'am. So, thank you so much for your time. It was really wonderful having you here. I wish I can gain your energy, the same confidence, and achieve my goals also. So seeing you so much confident and so much energetic at this age also really boosts me up. That if I could become just 1% of you, I'll really, be doing multiplying my work definitely.
You'll go places, don't worry, Seema. You're still a long way to go. So, all the best to you.